Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to discuss about scenarios for seafarer or a member of crew of Indian ship. So we will discuss few income tax scenarios, and there are various provisions which is specifically for a seafarer. So we're going to discuss all this in this video tutorial. Basically, if you are say confused, like which ITR you need to file, or if you're not clear about your residential status, or if you're a seafarer and you don't know what are the existing provisions, or even if you're not aware where all this you can check. So this video gonna help you to find all these solutions. So let's quickly see what is covered in this. So very first we will see a residential status in India and why you need to know. Second, we will see a type of residential status in India for seafarer, and the next we see a conditions or rules as per Income Tax Act Section 6. Next, we will see Income Tax Act Section 6 and where and how you can check. And then we will see Section 6 on Government of India website. I'll be showing you the extract. The next one we will be seeing seafarer or member of crew of Indian ship. What are the existing provisions? And further we will see where you can check all these provisions. Then the next we will see non-resident seafarer. So if you're receiving any remuneration in NRE account, so how you would be handling that, and what are provisions for that. And yeah, and the next we will see all these scenarios or cases with examples. And at the end, I'll be telling you which ITR form you need to file. So for the residential status, you need to know, because when you need to go to file the ITR or income tax return, you should know whether you are a resident of India or you are non-resident of India, right? And the other bit in the determining the tax slab. So there are different tax slabs for resident and non-resident. So that will help you to determine that. So let's see what are all types of residential status in India for the seafarer. So as a seafarer, broadly, there are two types. So whether you can be a resident, or if you're not resident then you could be a non-resident, right? So if you are a resident, there are further two categories. First, either you could be a resident and ordinary resident, that's also referred as the ROR, or you could be a resident but not ordinary resident, that's a RNOR. We will see what are the conditions for all these. So let's see what are all conditions or rules as per Income Tax Act Section 6. So the only condition to be a resident for India is you have to spend 182 days or more in India, right? So that's the only condition, and that you have to do in the previous year. So just to ensure, if you are filing it for assessment year 2021, your previous year or financial year would be 1 year back. Okay, so that would be 1920, and the period which we are counting here is from 1st of April to 31st of March, right? So between this time, if you are spending 182 days or more in India, then you will deferred as a resident. And if you're not fulfilling this condition, then you will be a non-resident, right? So for the resident, if you become a resident, then again you have to determine whether you are ROR, resident and ordinary resident. So let's see what all these conditions are. So the first condition to be a ROR is a seven in the previous preceding year, you have to spend at least 730 days or more. So let's understand this previous preceding year. So this is the assessment year 2021. The previous year would be 1 year back, so that would be 1920, and then you have to go back seven previous year. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to here. So all these, within all these seven previous preceding years, you have to spend at least 730 days or more to be a ROR, right? So that's the first condition. And second condition is in the previous 10 previous preceding year, you have to be a resident you have to get a resident status at least 2 times, right? So at least 2 years you should be getting a resident status. Okay, so if you are fulfilling this condition and this condition, you will become a ROR. That's a resident and ordinary resident, right? So if you're not fulfilling this condition, you will become a RNOR. So that means resident but not ordinary resident, right? So I hope it would be very clear. So just in short, to be a resident, you have to spend 182 days or more in previous year. Then once you become a resident, you have to determine whether you are ROR or RNOR. We will see later like how these 182 days will be governed for the seafarer. So let's see further. If you go on Income Tax India government website under this Income Tax Act, you will see all this section where it says Section 6, residence in India. Once you click on that, you will open it. This would be opening. So there's a condition mentioned here, like an individual is said to be resident in India in any previous year if he is in India in that year for a period amounting 182 days or more. Okay, so that's a condition for seafarer. Just forget this one. There's another condition for that. But if you are a seafarer here, it's already clearly written. Being a citizen of India who leaves India in any previous year as a member of the crew of an Indian ship as defined in clause 18. Okay, so the 60 days occurring there in words, this should be substituted or had been substituted with the 182 days. Okay, so this condition is not applicable. So it's only this condition would be applicable, which I just explained. So to ensure that you need to fulfill 182 days or more in India. So if you're a seafarer, let's see how your period of stay will be calculated in India. That's clearly defined in section in rule 126. So if you go there, this is a source link. If you go there in Income Tax of India website and you see the rule number 126, it says computation of period of stay in India in certain cases. I've just extracted all this material from here and it's clearly written like for the purpose of clause 1 of section 6, we already saw section 6 and this is clause 1, right? So in case of individual being a citizen of India and a member of crew of ship, the period or periods of stay in India shall, in respect of an eligible wage, not included the period computed in accordance with rule 2. All right. So in short, what it says, and then if you say this one, it would be clearly saying that continuous discharge certificate. So I'm sure who all would be a seafarer, they would know that uh, like an ordinary citizen of India would be having a passport. So it's like a CDC would be having all this information, like when your ship would be moving out from India and when that would be in, right? So your status or your days would be counted from in or out with respect to whatever is mentioned in the CDC, right? So based on that, your days would be calculated. So if you see here, it says continuous discharge certificate shall have the meaning assigned to it in the merchant shipping continuous. Then again, CDC made under the Merchant This Act and all. If you go there, this website will see, you can see all the Merchant Shipping Act that you don't need to check. So in short, it would be saying like the period referred to sub rule 2 shall be period beginning on the date entered into the CDC in respect of joining the ship by said the individual for the eligible wage and ending on the date entered into the continuous the CDC, right, of signing off. So that means whatever is mentioned in your CDC, like sign in and sign off, based on that your days would be calculated. So I hope it would be clear how days would be calculated based on your CDC. Now the next bit, if you are receiving any remuneration in your NRE account, non-resident external account, then whether that would be taxable or non-taxable. So there is circular available, and that's been decided on 2017, in April 2017. So if you see there, it's been clearly mentioned that the matter has been explained in the port section 52A of the Income Tax Act provide that only such income of a non-resident shall be subjected to a tax in India that is either received or is deemed to be received in India. So whatever you are receiving in India, that would be taxable, and any salary. So it is hereby clarified that salary accrued to a non-resident seafarer for services rendered outside India on a foreign ship shall not be included in the total income merely because the said salary has been credited in the NRE account maintained with an Indian bank by the seafarer, right? So you need to be clear if you are putting any amount in your NRE account, okay? Right. So let's see the scenarios and cases. So this is the day spent, like what I clearly said. The number of days outside India will be calculated based on signed in or off date in CDC. So, for example, if your ship remain in Indian water, and you're selling through Indian water, it won't be calculated. When you go outside of Indian water, and based on that, sign in or sign off, your outside days would be calculated. So let's see if your days spent in India is 150. So just matching with this condition, if so 150 is less than 182, so that means you will become a non-resident, right? If you're spending 183 days, let's see, I have mentioned two conditions here to just show if even if you are spending 183 days in India, like more than 182 days, whether you are ROR or RNOR, right? So let's see this one. So you are spending 183 days here, but let's see now to decide ROR or RNOR, we have to go back 7 years and 10 years back. So in 7 years, what we need to see whether you are spending 730 days or more. So here you are spending more than 730 days. So this condition is okay. All right. So now let's see whether in 2 years previous in 10 previous preceding year whether you are getting a your resident status for 2 times or more. So here you are having a 2-year resident, so the both conditions are true, so that means you are ROR, right? And here, say for example, if you are spending 183 days, and so here you are spending in 7 previous preceding year, you are spending less than 730 days, right? So this condition was false, and if any of these are false, then you would be automatically coming into this one. So you will become a RNR. Uh, just to mention, you have to calculate your outside days based on whatever is mentioned in the CDC, right? Okay, so the important fact is which ITR form you need to file. Okay, so if you are a resident, you have to go for ITR 1, uh, and it says other than not ordinary resident, right? So if you're resident and other than R and all, you have to go for this one, and there are a few conditions mentioned here, like having total income up to 50 lakhs, or having income from salaries, one house property. So we are satisfying all these conditions. You have to go for ITR 1. For anything other than this one, you have to go for ITR 2. So if you are having not spending 182 days or more, you will become say NRI. You have to go for this one, ITR 2 form. Uh, when you have to go for ITR 3, if you're individual, in this case you're seafarer, so that's individual. You don't need to worry about HUF, that's Hindu undivided family, that's a other category. And having income from profits and gains of business or profession. So if you're getting any profits, any income from profits or gain, you have to go for ITR 3. And similarly, you have to choose for ITR 4 if you are individual, HUF and firms, and yeah, being a resident, having total income say up to 50 lakhs, and having income from business and profession. All right. So these are not applicable for you because that's not for individuals. As a seafarer, you are also an individual. You're not company, so these won't be applicable. ITR 7, that's specifically for furnished returns and all. Right. So I hope it would be very clear which ITR form you need to file. So ideally, most of the cases, if you are NRI, you'll have to go for ITR 2. Okay. So thanks for watching. If you find it useful, you could share, and who doesn't know about all these, and hopefully that would be making more clear. So yeah, subscribe the channel for all latest video updates. Thanks.